I don't know how to do this, nor how to start, nor how to talk myself through this.
Oh, cool, Chunt.
Oh, yes, Uncle Chunty.
It's 1 a.m. in the morning. I went to the late session of Captain Marvel. I think the best place for me to start would be to go with the positives. Initially. Okay, so the suit at the end is cool. CG is cool. The powers are powerful. Yeah. The cat. Yeah. There's a little bit of spectacle in there. I'd probably still rate it lower than Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I didn't like that. I thought that was ultimately forgettable and boring. So this for me is below that. Okay, I tried to start with the positives, but I just can't really think of anything else right now. So this is a problem. This movie is a problem. I tried my best to set aside my grievances with Brie Larson. I really did. It took me a good 20 minutes, half an hour to kind of go, all right, hey Carol, hello. And that's partially my own fault. I'll admit that. But it's also not the best impression on her part either. She's boring. She's wooden as. Every emote or slight hint of an emotion in this film from her seems forced. This is an award-winning actor. I didn't see that in this movie. I really did not see this. She is ultimately the embodiment of the definition of a Mary Sue. She's good at everything the first time, and when the story needs it, doesn't need anyone else. Really, that's pretty much it. In defense of the film, I actually thought the film was going to be a lot worse, because I understand it going in. The directors have said it, Brie Larson has said it, going in saying this is an activist movie, this is going to be, a movie for feminism, that kind of thing. They touted it as so. So I went in going, God, here we go. And to my surprise, there wasn't a lot of that, thankfully. But there was still hints of every other male character around her was A, telling jokes, B, hopeless, C, didn't really contribute much at all, if anything. D, she had the answers or was the only one that could get said answers or things. Anytime she got into a plane or some ship that she's never flown before, she could do it straight away with excellence. I understand part of her history was being a fighter pilot, but that's like in the jet plane or test pilot stuff, and even then they mention it in the story where they had to sneak off and do things or do test missions secretly because at that time they weren't allowing women test pilots. So it's not like they would be extremely proficient in any kind of aircraft. Most action sequences she was in, the tension just wasn't there. There's no tension in the fights. There's no tension in conflicts, because just the tried and true Marvel quips left and right. Even the villains are fallible, hopeless, falling over themselves, comic relief, Saturday morning type villains. I was just like, come on, where is this movie picking up from? There's going to be a lot of jump cuts in this because it's 1 a.m. and I'm bloody tired. I don't want to spoil too much more than I probably already have. I don't think I've said anything that would absolutely destroy the film for you. A lot of the 90s aspect of the film and the hints and the Easter eggs and references was cool. Didn't overstay its welcome too much. Kind of, made you realize what time period this was in. A lot of the stuff in there I actually recognized and remembered, so that was pretty cool. The song choices in this movie, oh god. I literally cringed at a couple of choices, particularly one of the last fight sequences. It took me right out of the movie. It really did. Took me out of the fight, took me out of the whatever tension that was there, or lack thereof. I didn't come out of this movie remembering who this character is, or I don't feel like I know the character. I don't remember her friend's name. I didn't feel the connection between her and her friend. The other one that's important to her, I didn't feel whatever that was. The Carol Danvers life, I barely understood, or I can't remember much of it. I can't remember the name of Jude Law's character, and how they relate to each other, or what their relationship is. It didn't quite set in enough for me to mean anything. Like a lot of the relationships in this movie don't matter. That's how I came out. I was just at the end of the movie, I'm like, who are these people and why are they important? It was different as an origin film. It was different with Iron Man, with Rhodey. I at least knew he was barely in it, but I at least knew who he was, and the chemistry between Robert Downey Jr. I understood that, and I recognized the friendship or camaraderie there. But here, none of the characters mattered. The villains in this don't matter. They turn up and crack some jokes or have they're a slapstick moment, and that's it. And don't even get me started on Nick Fury. What have they done? What have they done to Nick Fury in this? What did they do to our boy? What did they do? He's an absolute joke in this. I understand he's younger and probably a bit greener, but come on. If you're in the Force or a secret agent type dude, it takes a particular person to be that. Not how they portrayed him in this movie, or that kind of person that would be in that kind of position in this movie. Even Agent Coulson was more on point. I recognized the character, and he was in character, even though it was so many years prior, and he still had that green type about him, but he was still on point. Whereas Nick Fury was just a laugh. I wasn't laughing. I was just like, ugh. I was laughing at it, not with it at all. And there's something that happens. You do find out what happens to his eye. I'm not going to spoil it, but you do find out what happens, and it's just, no. That's how they explain it? That's how they explain it? It's a stolen moment, I feel. It's a really stolen moment. It could have had a really powerful moment or something that mattered for that character, but it's gone now. They took that from us. There's a line in the Captain America Winter Soldier movie, in the scene where Captain America coming back after a mission, confronting Nick Fury, and Nick Fury mentions something about how he lost his eye, and it's because he trusted someone once or whatever, and it felt like it really meant something to him, and it made you think of like, oh man, I wonder what happened, and it felt like it was something. But here, it doesn't mean shit. It's a joke. Ronan's in it. He's in it. He's another one of the joke moments. Oh man, I have a lot of issues with this movie. I sunk into the back of my cinema seat when the credits started rolling, just like, and I had my hand on my face, just thinking, oh god, like that was it. That was the movie. The crucial end credit scene. That was the most relevant end credit scene ever that was being said and passed around the internet. It's no more important than the Civil War end credit scene, or the one that referenced Civil War with Steve Rogers and Falcon dude with Winter Soldier, in that machine, and they're talking about a Noah guy. It's a kind of a scene like that, where I think it could be a scene. I don't know if it's going to be an Endgame, but it definitely is something that directs straight into Endgame, and I'm guessing that scene is going to be an Endgame. So it's not really. It's more like a lead-in. It's not a tease. It's not special for this film. You can leave the movie. As soon as the credits start rolling, you can leave. There's no point in sticking around. There's really no point. There are 2 end credit scenes, and if you really want to bother sitting through the credits to see the last one, again, it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't matter at all. For a movie that was being touted as the most important movie for Marvel, at least, in recent years, or for women, or whatever, feminist movie movement thing, it failed on all fronts. Like, I'm not sitting here wanting this movie to fail. I don't want this movie to fail. I don't want any movie to fail unless it's deserved. My grievances with Brie Larson aside, I don't want the movie to be bad just because she's in it. I don't like her. I think she was miscast for this. I don't know how she got the role. I really don't. I don't see, even in interviews I've seen her, she lacks any kind of personality. So I'm not surprised that she has no personality within the film. There are plentiful choices out there, Marvel, that you could have cast someone else. Almost anyone else could have been better. Or someone with personality. It's not like there's nothing to enjoy in this. There are some cool visuals. There were actually a couple of scenes where I was like, yeah, that's actually pretty cool. It lacks its own identity. Like, I don't remember... You know how you remember a film and it has a feeling to it? It has its own essence, I want to say, or it has its own visual style, or you take something away from the film when you think about it later, it feels like that movie. Well, this one, I don't have that. I didn't walk away with anything but meh or disappointment coming out of this. And that's sad. I mean, we're lucky that Endgame is only a couple months away, or next month, is it? April? Pretty sure it's out in April. So yeah, we're lucky that, you know, we've got that to hopefully wash the bad taste away. And that's the other problem I have. I'll finish this rant up, but the problem I have is she doesn't deserve this spot. The Captain Marvel character doesn't deserve the spot in Endgame. It just doesn't. It's just coming from left field. I think this Captain Marvel thing has been shoehorned in completely, and it's obvious within the film itself. When I say she's the definition of the Mary Sue, not only is she good at everything and uber powerful and can overcome anything, she's also the reason for lots of things. Whereas Nick Fury in previous films has been like, Thor, you're the reason why S.H.I.E.L.D. is like this, or it needs to exist, or something else that happened in S.H.I.E.L.D.'s history is why this happened, or whatever. Nothing has ever been mentioned about Captain Marvel or anything else. But now we've got this movie, which is essentially just retroactively introduced her and shoehorned her into the MCU, being the cause for everything, to see if it matters when she turns up in Endgame. Of like, oh yeah, look, Deus Ex Machina, you know, pretty much, basically. You've got this uber Mary Sue character coming to save the day when you've got 10 years worth of characters that are fighting and have proven for their part in this conflict or in these movies. They've all earned their spot. Even Falcon has earned his spot, you know? And you've got this last minute addition, this uber powerful character that can take out a battalion of spaceships on their own. When you see her doing the feats that she does in this film, comparatively when it takes like 4 or 5, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers to hold Thanos back, there's a power difference, a massive power gap right there. So I don't know how they're going to even this out. I've heard rumors that there's 2 cuts of Endgame. One is depending on how Captain Marvel is received, and the other is one how she's not such a big deal in it. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but I would not be surprised considering the backlash from this movie and Brie Larson in general. People just don't like her, and there's lots of reasons why. She talks too much. This is a Marvel, Disney, kid, everyone ages, all ages movie. You don't go around on press junkets spouting your bullshit racist stuff and your sexist stuff and pushing your agenda for this kind of a movie that's meant for everybody. The most stuff I've heard talked about this film has been about her running her mouth, not so much about the film itself. And there's other rumors, I know it's all rumors, but there's other rumors that a lot of the cast members don't like her either, particularly some of the female cast members, where, you know, they've earned their stripes and they're getting overshadowed by this new character just being thrown in the mix, which is fair enough too. So look, I'm really looking forward to Endgame now, just to see, you know, obviously to see how this all wraps up for everybody, but also how they're going to treat her in this. I refuse to accept, and I'll be throwing my arm up if Captain Marvel is the one that deals the final blow to whatever the conflict is, like to end the game. Like if she's the main player in this to end the conflict, it won't be earned. It won't have any weight. Won't have any merit or meaning if it's not any of the original cast. If it's not Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, Thor, whatever. If it's not that original bunch having some meaningful cause to stop the conflict, anything else is going to be... It's not going to mean anything, particularly if it's just Captain Marvel coming to save the day like Thor did in Infinity War, which, that was definitely earned. That was an awesome moment because we know that character, we know what the struggles have been, what he's been doing, who he is, and he comes back and saves the day essentially. That was awesome and earned. Anyway, look, as you can tell, I'm not impressed by this film. It missed the mark completely. This, to me, I used to consider some other Marvel films as not duds, but just disappointments or forgettable. But this one is legit a dud. You can save your money, really. Just go look up some leaked footage if you want to see the after credit scenes. Just they're already flying around on Twitter. Just go on there and find one. You can pass on the entire movie essentially. I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I would rather I had not seen Captain Marvel, so I didn't have to see how they retroactively make her the cause for everything, or make her the reason for why S.H.I.E.L.D. is, why the Avengers Initiative is, all this kind of stuff. I'm definitely going to put a spoiler warning at the front of this video. Anyway, I'm done. I'm over it. I need to edit this and throw it up, and I can't wait to move past this whole Captain Marvel Brie Larson thing. Marvel, you've tried rebooting her like 5 or 7 times in the recent decade in your comics. People clearly aren't buying it, so stop throwing out number ones all the time. It's just not working. There's potential for an awesome character there. Whatever you're doing isn't working, so just figure it out. It's obvious you're trying to make this character work. It's obvious. That goes the same for the new Ms. Marvel as well. You've done the same. You just keep rebooting that. Hopefully it's going to stick. Anyway, I really want to get off my soapbox. Sorry if I disappointed people by not liking this movie. I know I'm probably going to be seen as a misogynist for not liking it as well, because apparently I'm a man and I'm not allowed to not like this movie because it's meant to be a feminist flagpole moment. But whatever. Go watch Wonder Woman again. It's a far superior movie.
Like, comment, subscribe.